Ciao Fabri, welcome back in our
Ciao guys.
podcast. Today again we speak about free agents. As the last episode, today we continue speaking about what's next for some of the players, some of the biggest players for next year, next summer 2026. We start with Dusan Vlahovic, probably one of the most interesting cases of this also start of the season.
Yeah, very interesting because Dusan Vlahovic started his season quite well, especially in August with Juventus. Then some issues against in terms of goals, but Dusan Vlahovic remains an important striker, 25 years old, and one of the most interesting cases ahead of 2026 because at the moment, we mentioned that for Weston McKennie last week in our free agents special podcast here on Men in Blazers, and is a similar case for Dusan Vlahovic. There are still no discussions or advanced negotiations for Vlahovic to extend his contract at Juventus. So there is a concrete chance to see Vlahovic leaving Juventus on a free transfer in 2026. And some clubs have started calling to understand the situation, to follow the situation of Dusan Vlahovic. Remember, he's on a big salary, 12 million euros net per season. So basically 1 million euro net per month at Juventus. He's on a very big contract, but several clubs have started trying to call to understand the situation. For example, in the recent weeks, Bayern got some information on the situation of Dusan Vlahovic. He might be one of the profiles to follow for 2026 for Bayern director Eberle. And also, important to mention for Bayern that this might depend also what's going to happen with the future of some players up front. So Vlahovic could be an option for Bayern. And then there is also something to tell our friends on behind the scenes, is that before the start of the summer transfer window 2025, also Barcelona took some information of Vlahovic to be informed about the situation. Then Barca decided to keep their strikers with Lewandowski, with Ferran Torres, and with Marcus Rashford joining obviously as a winger, but can also cover that position. But Barcelona, let's see if they will go for a striker in 2026. Eventually, Vlahovic could also return as an option with no transfer fee, basically, just paying a signing fee and the salary. So keep an eye on Vlahovic because might be an interesting opportunity for 2026.
Speaking of Bayern Munich that you mentioned in talking about Vlahovic, there are also two big cases about the German club. I'm speaking of Goretzka and Gnabry as well. So what's going to happen with two big stars of the German team?
Yeah, for Serge Gnabry there will be negotiations and talks soon between Bayern and Gnabry agents to discuss about new contract. The player is quite open to that, Bayern as well, but depends on the numbers, on the salary, and so there will be a discussion about the numbers and the financial part to understand if Gnabry will be able to stay at Bayern on a longer contract or maybe leave as a free agent in 2026. For Leon Goretzka, what I can guarantee is that the desire of the player will be to stay at Bayern. Goretzka loves Bayern. Goretzka is very comfortable about the club, so he would love to stay and continue. The point is, Bayern have several players in that position, also new players incoming, and so in terms of future for Bayern could be probably one of the options to part ways with Leon Goretzka and make some room for the new players they want to trust in that position. So this is why at the moment nothing is advanced, nothing is concrete in terms of new deal for Goretzka. There is a desire on player side, but still nothing advanced with the club because Bayern are considering to save some money and save some space for players for the future.
Moving to Real Madrid, they have also a big case, and there's going to be a big story also for the next month. I'm talking about Antonio Rüdiger future.
Yeah, Antonio Rüdiger is out of contract at Real Madrid 2026, and so could be an interesting situation. Let me say, first point, this is not a situation that will be clarified now, not even in November or December. Toni Rüdiger is fully focused on Real Madrid, now recovering from an injury, and he really wants to focus on this season. So Rüdiger is not going to sign anything with other clubs or commit to anything with other clubs now. Full focus on Real Madrid. Then for 2026, Toni Rüdiger, in a similar situation as Bruno Fernandes, for example, is one of the big names on the list of Saudi Arabian League dealmakers. So Toni Rüdiger is on the list of the Saudis, has been on the list for years, almost 2-3 years, and he remains one of the names on the list. So if Rüdiger will be available on a free in summer 2026, I am quite sure that from Saudi they will arrive and try to tempt Toni Rüdiger. At the same time, Real Madrid will decide the situation with Rüdiger later in 2026. There will be discussions. Real Madrid and Rüdiger are still in very good relationship, and Rüdiger is very happy at Real Madrid. So now full focus on Madrid, but from Saudi they keep thinking about Toni Rüdiger.
Speaking of Real Madrid, what about the future of Dani Carvajal?
This case will be discussed in the second half of the season. In this case, there are no discussions or negotiations with any other club. I think Dani Carvajal is very clear on that. He loves Real Madrid, he's the captain, and so Real Madrid are also very happy with his attitude, with his performances, because also in terms of performances, Carvajal is doing very well. Even with the arrival of Trent Alexander-Arnold, they are competing for the starting spot at right back. So there is a very good connection between Real Madrid and Dani Carvajal. Then, in 2026, based on Real Madrid's strategy, they will decide what to do. The player is more than happy to stay, more than happy to continue. We will see how the conversations will go, but this is one of the topics that Real Madrid will discuss in a very calm and relaxed situation in the second half of the year.
What about David Alaba for Real Madrid as well?
In this case, I have to be quite pessimistic in terms of contract extension, because from what I'm hearing, David Alaba has concrete possibilities to leave Real Madrid. At the moment, nothing has been communicated, so let's respect the player, the club, the timing that they want to use, because at the moment Real Madrid didn't tell David Alaba you are leaving, or Alaba didn't tell Real Madrid I'm going somewhere else. So at the moment remains full focus on present. But in terms of future, at the moment there is nothing really concrete into new contract discussions, into a perspective of a new contract, so I think there is a good chance to see David Alaba leaving Real Madrid at the end of the season.
Staying in Spain, there is a big topic talking about Barcelona in this case and talking about Robert Lewandowski's future, the big star of the Blaugrana. Can he leave Barcelona in 2026?
Yeah, also during this last weekend, during this international break, we had some rumors coming from Spain from very good reporters saying that it's already guaranteed that Lewandowski will leave Barcelona. Look, from what I'm hearing, talking to my sources on both players and club side, nothing has been communicated between them. So it's similar to Alaba. No one told Lewandowski you have to go in summer 26, or Leva didn't tell Barcelona that he wants to go. At the moment it's a very calm situation because Lewandowski, from what I'm hearing, is convinced that Barcelona can win everything this season. Lewandowski is convinced that Barca can be very competitive this season in all competitions, including of course Champions League. So they are not going to decide or communicate anything now. Both sides, Barcelona and Lewandowski, are aware of the contract expiring and aware of concrete chances to part ways in 2026, so that's a concrete possibility, a concrete scenario with several clubs interested in Europe, in Saudi and not only. But at the moment Lewandowski doesn't want to commit to anything else, because Lewandowski wants to focus on Barca, wants to win as many titles as possible this season and then decide in the second half of the season. So at the moment it's a quiet situation, but there are good chances to see Lewandowski leaving on a free.
Moving to the Premier League, what about Harry Maguire?
Harry Maguire is another interesting case because there has been a meeting in the recent days between the agent of Maguire, who was at Carrington to meet with Manchester United. Harry would be more than happy to stay, and Man United more than happy to keep the player doing very well on the pitch and also in terms of leadership in the dressing room. So there is a positive exchange between Maguire and United. But in order for this contract to be extended and to basically sign a new deal, they need to discuss different terms. So if United and Maguire will be able to reach an agreement on new deal, is because Harry will probably reduce his current salary. So the numbers, the financials of the contract of Maguire are going to be very important to understand if he's going to continue at the club or maybe if they decide to part ways and try something different.
And what about another Manchester United player, midfielder, Casemiro? What's next for him?
Yeah, it's a strange situation for Casemiro because Casemiro is still a very important player for Manchester United, a very important starter for Ruben Amorim, one of the most important players in the dressing room. The status of Casemiro is not just about the performances, but he's a serial winner, so his trophy cabinet is speaking for Casemiro. It's unbelievable the leadership of this player and the power in terms, obviously, of the trophies experience of this player. So he's still a starter, but at the moment there are no negotiations to extend his contract. And there is a feeling of those close to the club that Casemiro might go in summer 2026 after rejecting important but really important financial proposals, especially from Saudi in the last few years. So if you ask me today, it's still not guaranteed that Casemiro and Man United will part ways, but similar to Lewandowski, similar to David Alaba, there is a concrete chance to see them parting ways in the summer, because at the moment they haven't started discussing a new contract with Casemiro.
And then the last one for today, Franck Kessie's future. Do you expect him to be back in European football in the summer 2026?
There is a concrete chance, yes, for Franck Kessie to return. Already last summer, summer 2025, in July, Italian clubs wanted Kessie, but Franck Kessie decided to continue in Saudi at Al Ahly. Then if he wants to return, of course he's going to be as a free agent, but on different numbers compared to his salary now at Al Ahly. There is interest from Europe, so Kessie will consider all the possibility. Al Ahly might be open to let him go and not extend his contract, so there will be discussions about that, but I think Kessie could be one of the interesting names to follow because former Milan Barca player has a lot of interest from Europe. And meanwhile, I tell you that this Wednesday, this is an update from a few minutes ago, so always ready for the transfer news. Frenkie de Jong will sign his new contract at Barcelona. So this week everything will be signed. We said in the last episode that Frenkie is going to sign a new contract, is not going to be a free agent in 2026, and now the new deal till 2029 will be signed on Wednesday.
Thank you, Fabri, for that. Also the last update, and talk to you soon.
Thank you. Ciao guys.